Windy City, Chicago, Illinois, welcoming the Dallas Cowboys for the first time since 2019 in Week 3 of the NFL season. Soldier Field will be the center of the NFL world coming up at 3:25 on Fox this week. We are the center of the NFL world right now. This is a special edition from the Star in Frisco with Isaiah Stanback, Barry Church, and Nate Newton. I'm Kyle Youmans. So much to get to. We've got to start with one of the injury updates for this Dallas Cowboys team. Unfortunately, it's an injury update. Cooper Beebe out 6 to 8 weeks. Ian Rappaport was the original report this week. He has a high ankle sprain originally, but it's actually more like a strain or a fracture in that ankle instead of the high ankle sprain, but he is going to miss that same amount of time. How big of a concern is losing Cooper Beebe, Barry Church?
I would say this is slightly concerning for me. I mean, when you look at Cooper Beebe out there, I feel like he was getting better and better since his rookie season. I mean, when you go out there against the New York Giants, who has an unbelievable front seven, I felt like he played well, and he played well in that Eagles game as well. The thing that gives me, a little bit of, optimism out there is the fact that Brock Hoffman is going to be his replacement. And this is a guy that's gone out there. We know the type of lineman that Hoffman is. He's a feisty guy. He's a guy that you would love to be in the foxhole with, as well with this offensive line. So for me, I'm slightly concerned, but Hoffman should get the job done.
Yeah, I'm going to keep it short here. I'm going to let the O-linemen of the room talk about it, but I am obviously, it sucks for Cooper Beebe, but I am confident in Brock Hoffman's ability to step in. He's shown his ability to be able to fulfill his role in the past.
Because both guys are the quarterbacks of the offensive line. They're going to tell you where the strength at, where the possible extra rush is coming from. And when Dak audible or check with me, he is that guy that gives the calls inside so that the other four offensive linemen can adjust. Hoffman is going to fit in here quite well. I think Beebe has the better feet, but Hoffman has the tenacity. Thank you, the tenacity to irritate nose guards.
Yeah, and when you look at really the depth chart across the board, there's a lot of confidence in the depth of this offensive line. Remember in training camp, we were speaking to just how much they have behind the starting guys there. Now you get to see that a little bit. It's getting tested early, and also remember TJ Bass at that right guard position would have back up Brock Hoffman if something were to happen at the center position. Flipping to the defensive side, speaking of depth, the Cowboys added some depth this past week with the signing of former first overall pick Jadeveon Clowney. Of course, Clowney rose to fame after his great career at South Carolina in the SEC, and then he was the first overall pick by Houston. How much does this add confidence for that defensive front, Isaiah?
It's huge. I mean, he's a big physical presence. He's a tall, lanky guy that plays with his hair on fire. He sets the edge, and he's able to get after the quarterback. Exactly what you're looking for, somebody that you have to circle with your laser when you're watching film.
We brought him in here to be an overall leader of this team. He can set the edge and he can stop the run, but we need a pass rush. We brought him in here to rush the passer.
Yeah, finally, 42. All right, it's back on the defensive side of the football where it needs to be. But in all seriousness, I believe that Clowney provides that spark off the edge that can get after the quarterback and also set edges. That's what this defense needs, is to set edges out there to contain this running situation. So for me, he's a great add, especially depth-wise for the Dallas Cowboys defense.
How did we know we were going to get a Club 42 reference?
42, baby.
It was going to happen at some point in time. You know what else is going to happen in this show? We're going to talk about the Bears and what they've got coming up as well. The Bears, of course, being the matchup this week for the Dallas Cowboys. We'll talk about that. And then film room later in the show, we're going to break down what went wrong in the Cowboys secondary, allowing over 420 yards passing against the Giants.
Special edition presented by AT&T is brought to you by your North Texas Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas. Reliant, official energy provider of the Dallas Cowboys. Blockchain.com. Invest like your icons with Blockchain.com. And by AT&T. Connecting changes everything. This segment is brought to you by your North Texas Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas.
For only the third time in the NFL since 1970, a first-round quarterback will face his former head coach, the one that drafted him as a defensive coordinator. Matt Eberflus in his first season in Dallas, taking on second-year quarterback Caleb Williams. His first time that's happened since 2019. Back with Isaiah Berry. Nate, I'm Kyle Youmans. The Cowboys defense going up against Ben Johnson. Johnson, who was significant with his time as the offensive coordinator at the Detroit Lions from 2022 through 2024, coming off of a red-hot season, has not been red hot to start the campaign. Barry, I'll start with you. How can Coach Eberflus have some success against Ben Johnson? Because Ben Johnson's going to throw the kitchen sink at Matt Eberflus.
Yeah, that's exactly what he's going to do. And he's going to have formations and try to get matchups for his guys against your defense. Defensively for the Cowboys, which they didn't do this last week, you got to communicate, especially in the secondary. You got to communicate and understand your personnel, where your defense is weak, where you can get exposed, and you got to make sure everybody's on the same page, because if they're not, that's where you get these explosive plays, and Ben Johnson, he can bring it out of that offense.
Yeah, I agree, Barry. Don't go single high. Stay two high safeties. You don't have the cornerbacks right now to play man-to-man or even man-type coverages. Trayvon Diggs is still trying to find his legs. Deron Bland is out. You just don't have it. So play zone like you did week 1 against Philadelphia. To Barry's point, communicate, pass stuff off, and play a bend but don't break defense. Keep everything in front of you.
I learned this from Isaiah. It's called zone declaration, or determining what your defensive secondary is in. Coach Ben Johnson does not just zone for eye candy. Motion for eye candy. He motions because he's trying to get a certain play off. And you know what? Coach Eberflus, that's the secondary, better be ready for that.
Well, remember, week 2, it was not a pretty sight for the Dallas defense, giving up big plays. The Bears have had some explosive plays in their first couple weeks as well. This is in week 2 in a loss against the Detroit Lions. Remember, they lost this football game, and you've got the Bears having those plays allowed. 52 points on the board from the Detroit Lions last week. How can the Cowboys offense exploit the Bears defense, Isaiah?
Watch last week's tape. I mean, you just showed 27 explosive plays over 10 yards out of 58 plays. And, yeah, go back and find out what Detroit did well and try to recreate that.
You know, but I believe stop the run. Shut down the run, and that's how it's got to be. It's got to be just stop the run.
Yeah, when you talk about how, this offense for the Dallas Cowboys can expose the Chicago Bears, I believe what you got to do is have balance. You got to have the ground game going. If you look at that Minnesota game in week 1 against Chicago, that's how they were able to come back. They developed that ground game, and then that's when J.J. McCarthy was able to expose that secondary. Same thing with Detroit. It started with Gibbs and Montgomery out there. They were able to establish that ground game. That thing's opened up things massively for Jared Goff. If we can get Williams going like he did last week against the New York Giants, then I believe Dak Prescott opens everything up for CeeDee Lamb, Pickens, and the crew out there to get the job done.
When you look at the Bears defense, Nate, when it comes to the way that the Cowboys run offensive sets, do you feel like that play action could play a big factor?
It is, because it'll help your right tackle. He's a play action tackle still, and we need to be able to cover our left tackle too, because he's not in shape yet. This would be the game where you should start seeing better play by Guyton.
Yeah, it could be something to keep an eye on. We already talked about the offensive line. We've talked a little bit about the secondary as well. When we come back, Isaiah Stanback hits the film room. How can the Cowboys get better in the secondary going into week 3?
This segment was brought to you by your North Texas Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas. This segment is brought to you by the NFL Fan of the Year, presented by Captain Morgan.
As we mentioned early in the show, week 2 was not a successful one for the Cowboys secondary. Most passing yards allowed since the November 2017 late season meeting. It's been a long time since the Cowboys have seen a passing attack have as much success as Russell Wilson and the Giants did on Sunday. But Isaiah Stanback, there are ways to fix it. What happened on Sunday, and how can the Cowboys move on?
Well, before you can fix anything, Kyle, you have to be able to look yourself in the mirror and identify what the issue was. So let's get straight to the film. Let's go ahead and dive right into it. Right here at the bottom of your screen, you're going to have somebody named Malik Neighbors. He's kind of a dude, right? You want to put your dude on him. So you do so. Who's your dude? Well, Trayvon Diggs. You go ahead and match him up down here at the bottom of your screen. Trayvon Diggs is there. So what do you want to do if you're Trayvon Diggs versus single high coverage? Okay, this guy is in the back. He's playing cover 3. This is cover 3 as well, but if that man enters your zone, then you treat him like man-to-man. So Trayvon Diggs has Malik Neighbors man-to-man, but the problem is Trayvon Diggs should be putting his hands on Malik Neighbors. You don't want to give him a free release. But as we see here, as he treats his as cover one, he's stuttering. He's trying to shadow box with him. So run it back for me one more time. So as Malik Neighbor comes off the ball, he's going to wiggle. All right, he's going to come up here to the line of scrimmage, wiggle. And Trayvon Diggs just tries to shadow him. He watches him. Pause it right here. Malik Neighbors now, as a very dominant receiver, once he understands that I'm now even with Trayvon Diggs. Now I'm leaving Trayvon Diggs. So he's going to go ahead and take off right here. Now you have in the free safety area, he has to be concerned with 3 receivers. All right, 3 receivers at the top. You're going to have 1 receiver up here, 1 receiver right here, 1 receiver right here. So I have to shade this direction. I can't really come over here immediately and help. And as you see right there, because Trayvon Diggs at the bottom of your screen does not get hands on Malik Neighbors, Russell Wilson's able to drop his world-renowned moon ball right over the top for a big-time play.
Now, that was just one instance where it worked out. What about some of the other times in that Week 2 matchup, using the seams to their advantage?
Yeah, let's talk about it, okay? This is going to be cover 4. In cover 4, you're responsible for that quarter of the field, that quarter of the field, that quarter of the field, that quarter of the field. Underneath, you have 3 guys underneath. So you're calling this defense because you don't want anybody to be able to beat you over the top. Nobody gets over the top in cover 4 unless you have this particular coverage. Pause right here. The man that I want to highlight is going to be Donovan Wilson. Donovan Wilson is responsible for what? He's responsible for his quarter of the field. Nobody beats him there. Trayvon Diggs is doing the same thing. These guys are playing together. I'm looking at you watching our guy that we have to be responsible for, who is right here. He's running in between our 2 zones. So if I'm responsible for this zone and you're responsible for that zone, it doesn't matter who's coming right here. We both should be able to handle him. Unless what? Unless my eye discipline is not where it should be. Donovan Wilson is looking at the number 3 receiver coming into his area right here when he's not responsible for that. He's responsible for the man at the top. Nobody gets deeper than the deepest man. On this particular play, you see him run right through his zone. Dono was being nosy, and when you're nosy, you get beat for touchdowns.
And that wasn't the only time that happened either in that matchup.
No, it was not. Donovan Wilson is what we call a strong safety. And if you're a strong safety, you play down here in the box, okay? But unfortunately, that's your sideline to sideline guy, Malik Neighbors. I mean, not Malik Neighbors, but Malik Hooker, okay? So you have Donovan Wilson, who is right here as your free safety on this particular play. It is not where you want him. You want him in near the line of scrimmage. So on this particular play, Donovan Wilson is now cover 3. I'm responsible for that. I'm responsible for that. I'm responsible here. I go that way. I go that way. I go that way. I have 4 guys underneath. We have 4 guys underneath to handle these receivers. But again, Donovan Wilson, where's your eyes need to be? There's how many receivers here? 1, 2, 3 particular receivers, okay? How many are down here? Well, you have 1 receiver down here. So if you have 1 receiver down here and I have 3 up top, my eyes should be over here, okay? What is the weakness of a cover 3? This seam right here. You're gonna get past that underneath coverage as we play it here, okay? Boom, 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 cut off the ball, pause it right there. Now, you talked about these guys playing underneath. Well, how many guys do we have playing? 1, 2, 3, all right, and we have 4 guys underneath coverage. As soon as I clear as a receiver this underneath coverage, my eyes are now getting towards the quarterback because that is the weakness of it. So my eyes are gonna go right back to the quarterback on this particular play. Where should Donovan Wilson be? Pause. Donovan Wilson is responsible for this deep third, okay? Trayvon Diggs is responsible for that deep third. And as an offense, I know that if I run somebody in between these 2 coverages, I now cause problems for these 2 guys. But if I have 3 receivers up top, as Donovan Wilson back here, okay, I have to be able to get my eyes on the prize and get deeper than the deepest man because that is my third. If I'm sitting here with my hips squared to the line of scrimmage, then we have receivers running right down the seam where I should be, and we lose on a big-time touchdown once again because I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do, even though I'm a strong safety and I'm a fish out of water.
One of those things needs to be cleaned up along the way going into Week 3 against some weapons from the Chicago Bears. When we come back, the Cowboys have made some recent moves as well, and it's freed up cap space despite signing contracts. Let's explain what's going on with that cap situation when we come back with more Special Edition after this.
This segment was brought to you by the NFL Fan of the Year, presented by Captain Morgan. This segment is brought to you by Salvation Army, doing the most good.
Well, this is an interesting sight for Cowboys fans. We haven't seen this big of a number in the cap space category. Oh, Isaiah's excited about it. Yeah. But the number 2 team in the NFL in terms of cap space at this very moment. This is as of the midweek moment going into week 3, according to Spotrac.com. We've got Isaiah, Barry, Nate back with you on Special Edition. I'm Kyle Youmans. And what does this mean? Do you have to make a move? Do you need to make a move, Isaiah? Where do you want to see this money spent by the Dallas Cowboys?
Don't let it burn a hole in your pocket. No. I love the fact that the Cowboys have options. This provides them options, whether or not they want to utilize some of this cap space right now to go out there and get another dominant interior player to add to their defensive line so that they can stop the run of all these opposing teams, or if they want to go out there and get another splash player on offense. I believe there's one more move to be made before the trade deadline, honestly, to help these guys go out there and be successful this year.
It's so early in the season. Let's just see how guys play out and see what the injury bug brings, and then we'll know how to spend that money. I'm with you, Isaiah. Don't let that money burn a hole in your pocket.
When it comes to me, I'd like to see them add a little bit more help in the secondary. Not just because of what we saw last week with Russell Wilson, what he was able to do against this defense. But to me, I've always been taught you can never have enough covermen, just like you can never have enough guys to rush the quarterback. So you need depth out there. My choice is to go in the secondary.
Remember, you still have to make a deal with Brandon Aubrey, who's a restricted free agent this year. Unrestricted free agent George Pickens going into the offseason. If he continues to have the impact, you may need that money down the line. When we come back, we wrap up Special Edition with the ultimate Cowboys fan. Let's take an inside look at how Cowboys fans are taking things to the next level.
This segment was brought to you by Salvation Army, doing the most good. Closed captioning is brought to you by the Texas Lottery. Dallas Cowboys scratch tickets from the Texas Lottery are here. Play today. And to watch more Dallas Cowboys content on your connected TV, download the Cowboys Now app on Amazon Fire, Roku, and Apple TV. Special Edition, presented by AT&T, was brought to you by your North Texas Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas. Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. And by AT&T, connecting changes everything.
On Tuesday, military veterans from within the Dallas Cowboys organization were invited to take part in a special guided tour of the National Medal of Honor Museum in Arlington. This experience offered Dallas Cowboy employee veterans a chance to reflect on the extraordinary stories of courage, sacrifice, and patriotism that define the Medal of Honor. The museum's immersive exhibits serve as a reminder of the values that ignite us both on and off the field. The Dallas Cowboys are proud to support and recognize the service of their team members who have worn the uniform.
The Medal of Honor Museum is a great place. Beautiful infrastructure. I know a lot of veterans would probably like to come here and kind of experience this.
The Medal of Honor Museum, you get to see the sacrifices of others, what they've lost, and what they've accomplished for people they don't even know.
Really, really cool event. And of course, the Dallas Cowboys always saluting to service throughout the season. Wrapping up here on Special Edition with Isaiah Stanback, Barry Church, Nate Newton. I'm Kyle Youmans. And one thing we also salute are great fans. We love showing off fans that just take it to the next level. How about this? This went viral this past week. This is Frankie, who is a lifelong Cowboys fan. He built an automated Iron Man helmet with the star on showcase, and he wore it to AT&T Stadium. Isaiah, I feel like this is something you would put in your garage, too.
Listen, I saw that when I walked in Barry's house.
Barry, where'd you get that Iron Man helmet?
How much you think something like that costs? I mean, that's just...
How much would you pay?
Probably about as much as those seats he's in.
Yeah, that's all right. That's about right. That is.
I wonder, like, he's like the real Iron Man, has a little computer inside that talks to it.
It's not Jarvis, though. It's probably named some like former Cowboy. It's called like Staubach, or it'll be Aikman in the headset. That's really cool stuff. And that's the thing is, every time we get to interact with fans out at AT&T Stadium, Stadium, season opener, home opener in that Week 2 matchup. You get to see cool things like that. So we salute you, Cowboys fans. Thanks for always being awesome and always watching Special Edition as well. Well, we've got more to break down coming up this week. Cowboys pregame live getting started at 2 p.m. Central Time on Sunday. Cowboys kick off in Chicago against the Chicago Bears, 3:25 on Fox. For Isaiah, Barry, Nate, and our entire Dallas Cowboys crew, I'm Kyle Youmans saying so long. We'll see you next week on Special Edition.